6 in the morning on the day of the 30th Eureka Springs VW show, which I'm very excited to be attending. And I'm gonna just grab me some fuel, head that way, and enjoy the day immensely. I'm certain of it.
After getting registered and parked, I just had to go see what goodies the vendors brought, and they did not disappoint. Just look at this 56 Oval project car.
56.
I believe that may be what they call a partial W deck lid. Just beautiful. There may be just one seat in there, and the fuel tank.
Nice project for somebody.
There's even a semi-batwing steering wheel. There was another similar steering wheel in these early cars where the spokes were more centered, but I really prefer this one. What a beauty. I could really make a fantastic project car for somebody with a realistic concept of what it would take.
Very cool.
Here's just a very small sample of the vendor options at the show. Everything from pulleys, taillights, gauges, collectibles, panels, wheels, roof racks, and much more to be had. I wound up meeting a bunch of cool people at this show, and while I'm tempted to turn this into one of those jokes where I say something like, "And I also met Milo," I won't be trying my hand at that kind of comedy here today. In all seriousness, Milo was maybe the first person to come up and start talking shop with me, and in no time I was over checking out his beautiful '68 Squareback. The red you see peeking out here and there was the original color. The charcoal is such a cool color and shows even better in person. There's a factory-installed roof rack and sunroof, and the AC blower from the original configuration remains, which is often enough when the heat isn't too crazy. As you'd expect from any VW show, there were plenty of bugs and buses, but there was no shortage of Carmen Gias, Manxes, kit cars, Type 3s. Sorry, Alex, no Type 4s at this one. But it didn't matter if you were into incredibly clean cars that look like they were kept in a vacuum, super custom, Resto-Custom, ratrod. There was something for everybody here. They even had a notchback at this show. And I have it on good authority, there could be 2 more on the card in future shows. I know not everybody agrees, but whenever I see a super custom split oval, I can't help but hope the car was trashed and it required major work to bring it back to life. I would also accept that the work was done a long time ago. It doesn't matter if they look great. The older I get, the more I want them to just stay original. That said, I also very much appreciated the beautiful work I saw on so many cars that day. With the quantity of top-shelf examples at the show, you might easily overlook something like this super clean Bug here, but most enthusiasts would be tickled to death. Check out that center light on this crew cab. Another unique Type 2 with horns you will be hearing later. I don't get too excited about all Type 2s, but here is one of the many at this show that made me weak in the knees. Look at those bullet turn signals and Safari windows. Right back to my roots. Any pre-70 Carmen Ghia gets to me too. My friend Aaron really digs rat rods, and I have an appreciation for them too, but generally I prefer a more traditional restoration or custom look. However, this car was such a cool example. There are a lot of details in here that are really creative. They didn't just cut up old pistons for drink holders or thoughtlessly bend up some rod for various accents. You can really tell they put a lot of thought into the overall presentation. I don't think you'll find that basket for sale on J-Bugs either. Split decision, they call it. And maybe I'm just projecting how I would have felt. But I imagine it's about where to deviate from stock, original finishing, and how far to go the other direction. Part of the reason this car stands out to me, aside from being endorsed by Yoda of course, is that they did a fantastic job of walking that line. Also, I don't necessarily think I would choose either of the primary colors, and yet I think they work really well together. I also appreciate how they're almost a matte finish and somewhat muted. And as if the bumper with overriders wouldn't be enough to make me feel all gooey inside, they've also mounted a couple of fantastic fog lights too. I'm actually surprised that there weren't more trikes. Heck, those things still litter the American roadways. Another thing I'm reminded of with the classic Volkswagen community is how it's generally made up of especially down-to-earth, supportive, and helpful people. There are always going to be exceptions, but John Moore wrote in his book about how to keep your Volkswagen alive about how part of your strategy should be to expect the kindness of strangers. Back then there were a lot more of these cars on the road, so it made sense not to worry too much about having all possible breakdown parts on hand, because somebody else was likely to stop and offer help. I believe much of that mindset still exists today, and you see it in the good people who attend these shows. How often are you going to see the representation of Yoda, Alf, the Dukes of Hazzard in Baja buggy form, and a wicked chopped convertible top Carmen Gia, all within a short walking distance of one another?
They're shallower on the newer one. On the other ones, the only one came with a 5.5. These are deeper here. So all the other ones came with 4.5.
Now, I'm not a huge Type 161 or Thing fan, but I saw several really nice examples at this show. Many of them weren't even in the show, just driving around the streets of Eureka Springs. Some people added just a little fun to their cars with something simple like huge fake eyelashes, while others took it a bit further, which you'll see an example of shortly. Now, you may already know how I love Type 3s. Some might even say I'm a bit partial. My first Volkswagen was a '72 Squareback, very much like this one. As bad as I feel about it, I don't much care for the late models though. The turn signals and taillights were such a detraction, and the flat nose, I really just can't come to terms with what they were thinking when they made that change.
One other thing I found out too about California, when he says
probably in the States somewhere. They don't really have it.
They've seen it. They got pictures.
Yeah.
You're fine.
At any sizable car show, you'll find themed cars, and some ideas are a little better than others. For me, the Schwinn theme is hard to beat. When it comes to cabs, I'm very partial to double cabs. But not only does the Schwinn theme work in a very big way here, the single cab without a theme would be pretty spectacular. Don't you agree? Those 5-spoke MP style wheels really do it for me. And you may already know how I feel about Safari windows. I really like a nice chrome bumper, but the paint matched bumpers are so clean too. And while I prefer a Type 2 old enough to have bullet turn signals, as long as it has the embossed V for a nose, it's old enough for me. It may be overstating the obvious to say this is a unique Westfalia, but I'll do it anyway. A Dreamcatcher bracket holding onto an old Coleman lantern? That may be one of the more normal things on this bus. I talked with this guy a bit, and while there are a ton of stickers on it, they all have special meaning to him in one way or another. He also shared how the bit of rusty metal in front of the rear wheel is a patch, but made rusty to match its surroundings. And the entire sub was replaced. Apparently he was afraid the van was going to taco as it was being dragged onto a trailer with a winch. Now you might expect to see a tattered old motor powering this thing, but no. It matches up well with the condition of the wheels. Did you notice those super clean wheels yet?
This isn't yours, is it?
Oh yeah, I got it.
I was going to ask him if he wants me to solve his Rubik's Cube for him. Probably not.
I tried one of those one time in about 5 minutes. I did.
Well, I tell you, I tried them a whole bunch of times, and then I found an online tutorial that actually made sense to me, and I just did it and did it and did it and did it.
This is certainly no glamping van. It's got a sink, cooktop, and a table. This thing is ready for some real Westfalia type action.
It sure is, man. There's a lot happening here.
What is this, a 69, 70, or 68?
Yeah, I'm not as knowledgeable on the buses.
Yeah, the flat hubcaps that look like this will be the 70.
And if you get bored while driving, you can solve a Rubik's Cube, transform a transformer, or about a dozen other things.
So that makes it difficult.
Well, it's got the 5-bolt wheels, so you know it's got the wide 5.
Yeah, mine are wide 5s too, but it's on a Type 3.
Yeah.
Would you just look at those gorgeous rearview mirrors? The gravel guards don't hurt either. Yet another example of a bus that is just too beautiful. I'm pretty sure this is a 69 Squareback. It's got high back seats, but it still looks pretty great. The black on black interior makes it difficult to discern all the beautiful details, but this is one sharp car. It looks like they even have the original purchase receipt. It's pretty cool too.
It's funny because I like doing stuff like this. The gas door.
There's those reverse lights. I believe they introduced those to the Type 3s in about 67, but I could be wrong. Not all Type 3s had the pop-out windows, and they are a really great feature to have.
I know, me too.
I only have respect for this one. They've clearly taken it beyond factory quality. I'm pretty sure Volkswagen didn't chrome plate their fuel tank brackets. Not that my focus was to find flaws, but I never did find one on this car. Usually with something this shiny, the flaws really stand out. Years ago, it was popular to replace the stock door glass with a one-piece, and I'm really glad I didn't see more of that at this show. It just makes no sense to me. I don't think that steering wheel is original, but it has the right look, and the horn button is insanely cool. Don't miss that very not stock shifter. If you're cruising down the road and forget about the power plant behind you, it would be a nice reminder. If somebody gave me this car and some cash, the one thing I might change would be the color of the ragtop. I understand why they went with red, it's just a matter of taste. It still looks really fantastic. A car doesn't stay this great by accident. The owner clearly puts effort into maintaining this chrome, paint, and likely everything else. Now don't miss this engine. Those velocity stacks on the carbs just peek out, giving you an idea of the potential to deliver the bang juice. The plug wires, hell, I didn't even know they made wires that fat.
You're good.
Alright, let's get it out of the way that this car is crazy beautiful for just a second so I can talk about its owner. I'm sorry to say my brain has failed me in the usual way and I can't remember his name, but he was just the coolest guy. Anybody would want to talk about how much you loved their car, but he was just another level of friendly and nice. He's also got a pretty cool story that was published with pictures of this beauty, describing how everything nearly went horribly wrong when he rolled his new prized possession off the trailer.
Timing is everything.
He could have been seriously injured, the car could have gone over a cliff into the drink. Fortunately for him, none of this happened, and he didn't even have the capacity to consider any of it before it was all over and everything was fine. Now I don't know what this color is, but I know it shows really well in person and on the camera. The two-tone color-coordinated wheels with white walls and dome caps are about as great looking as you can accomplish. Of course, he has the overriders on the bumpers, but he also has this special unique badge. And the engine is beautifully original. Naturally, when you have something this nice, you want to protect it. So he also has this blaze cut fire suppression system. I've seen these before, and I definitely see one in my future. I'm not super clear on the details, but I know at least some Volkswagens left it to the dealers to install antennas, so there were options. This particular type of installation is my favorite. Just look at that beauty. It's stunning from every angle. And the steering wheel? Don't even get me going. The level of this restoration includes a color-coordinated spare wheel and a pristine jack. The car just wouldn't be complete without this Wolfsburg crest. Not a swamp cooler, but probably just as effective.
Oh, they didn't? No.
I've seen so far.
Greg's probably got some in the truck.
The details on this Iron Horse split oval are a little fuzzy for me, but I had the chance to speak with the owner. The way I remember it is that this car was built by another big name in VW restorations, and this is part of the collection he has been able to acquire from that builder. It may have been this or another car, but he also received permission from the builder to make some changes to suit his taste. I have to be honest and say, I wouldn't probably choose either the body nor the interior colors, but when I see them together, I totally get it. Of course, you can't put together a car of this caliber and ignore the engine details. Not only does it have a monster distributor with color-coordinated bracket, but also a serpentine belt system and color-coordinated doghouse shroud.
It's your car? Beautiful, man.
Thank you.
You've already heard how much I love those mirrors, and they even went to the extra trouble of painting the tank to match, and black was definitely the right color for the gas cap. And it's always cool when they have pictures of the process for you to peruse. Who doesn't get excited about a 23 window? White interior is a bold choice. That's why I was extra surprised when the owner invited me and another guy to sit back there while he demonstrated the mood lighting. It's not quite old enough to have bullet turn signals, but these slightly larger signals are pretty great too, and the rest of the vehicle is just so superb. Of course, it's sporting Safari windows, and all that chrome is shining just like an icicle. Beastie Boys, anybody? No takers? Yes, that dash is super custom. I forget exactly what he said, but I think it started its life in a mid-50s American iron vehicle of some sort. Can't you just imagine rolling down the road on a perfect day with that slider top open, music filling the space from your feet on up? It's apparently also teched up with tablet controls, and the keys don't actually do anything, they're just for show.
I know, but it was amazing. I was treated like gold down there.
You probably shouldn't expect anything less than a beautifully detailed engine on a bus of this magnitude. Never mind that storage space above it. It's so damn clean, you'd have to convince yourself to ever put anything in there. There were more than one Fender bike to be seen that day, but this was the super clean example. How much fun! The Volksrod was one of the more highly customized examples at the show, and they really went all out on this thing. Check out how clean this modern fuse box is, and how well labeled are all the connections. I think the tubular tray over the tank is just about looking great, and maybe providing a way to strap stuff down, but I'm doubting it's ever used in that way.
I teach people how to ride motorcycles. So I ride my bike whenever I can.
I wouldn't necessarily like these wheels on a more original Volkswagen, but they really work on this car. I believe I'm seeing a rack and pinion steering in there too.
Or for some reason I need to haul more than my bike can haul.
This motor looks like they really did all the important things. They've got an extra oil sump to increase oil capacity, which is good since they're running a stroker engine with a turbo. And those valve covers allow clearance for a higher ratio rocker arm. Very clean work done there. Did you notice those tiny taillights peeking out? As a general rule, I really don't care much about Volkswagens newer than 1970. However, there are some exceptions, and this is definitely one of them. The work done on this thing is crazy. He had a picture book showing how it all began as a van, and some extensive modifications were made to turn it into what I consider to be a double cab. Aside from the super clean, comfortable looking interior, the stance of it is impeccable, and the color is about as gorgeous as you'll find. Somehow, all put together in the way it is, it overcomes the fact that it's actually an ugly, boxy body. To me, that is the true measure of an automobile restorer. If you can take something most people would turn away from and make it something everybody can't stop looking at, you've really made a name for yourself.
What rear model do you think that is?
Okay, get prepared to not blink for the next minute and a half. Years ago I owned a 66 Beetle painted with a 70s Mercedes green, but they painted the center the same color, only 2 shades of pearl lighter. I've always loved the look of very similar colors like this, and the earlier model buses beg for the treatment. I'm no Type 2 expert, but I don't think there was ever a factory rear window hinge option like this, but it's such a great feature. The pinstripe details are in several places on this beauty, and they really add something special. I also think it was the right choice to allow one of my favorite wheel types to be somewhat overshadowed by the bright and vibrant colors on the body. They still look great, but the panels stand alone. They even chose to color coordinate the steering wheel, and I'll say it was a very good choice. This Texaco-themed walkthrough bus is not only rare, but a very cool piece with such a neat overall appeal. It's super clean without being very flashy. The colors are sharp and work well together. And would you just take a look at those wheels? I believe the color on the caps is the same as inside the cargo space. Not to disappoint, it's also outfitted with those lovely Safari windows. I also really enjoy the rear view mirrors. They're simple but elegant. Peeking inside the windshield, you see that delicate turn signal mechanism and deep black horn button with a simple chrome ring of trim. The only cooler thing than showing pictures of the work performed is having those pictures filled with kids and other family members. You can see the love they have, and they want to share their love of Volkswagens with their loved ones. Now, you've already heard me admit that bugs don't generally do much for me, but there are plenty of exceptions out there. Not only was this car extremely clean and original, I was able to talk with the son-in-law of the owner, and I got a bit of history on the car. He was even willing to help me get an answer on that lever in the center of the parcel tray. It's for the reserve gas. With no fuel gauge, it's handy to be able to switch from the normal pickup tube to one which sits a bit lower in the tank to get you to a gas station. The semaphores still work, and the interior looks like it was just installed. This thing looks like it was kept in a vacuum for the past 60 plus years. I can't speak directly to the way the owner takes care of it, but every time I looked at the car, his son-in-law was polishing something. Maybe they're two peas in a pod, or maybe he picked up on what it takes by being around his father-in-law. While I wasn't able to successfully raise my kids around Volkswagens, it really resonated with me when he talked about his daughter sitting in the car as a toddler. When I met her, I realized she must be about my daughter's age. This car is obviously something really special to the whole family. Here's one small clue the car is actually original, not just built back like original. These tiny taillight lenses are just a bit faded, revealing their true age. It's a bit like looking at the hands of Hollywood people. It's about the only way you can tell how old they really are. Now, my fuzzy memory gets the better of me all the time, and I don't remember if it was the current owner, but the car was brought over from Germany by a military person stationed there. This car is one of the finest examples of a bug I've ever seen, and the only thing they've really done to it aside from taking really good care of it was to overhaul the engine at one point. These louvers in the rear window are like icing on the cake, and maybe the roof rack is the cherry on top. If you look closely, you'll see that there's also a spare gas can under the passenger seat. This summer, my family and I went to the Henry Ford Museum, and we never saw a finer example of any kind of car while there. He's even got this old manual and an original complete spare tire toolkit. Those are very uncommon, and putting one together from individual pieces can cost a small fortune. Now, you might be tempted to call BS on me here, thinking you've already seen this car. But no, there are just that many amazing cars at this show. It gets to the point where you just pass up doing a full walk around on a really nice car like that last Bug. For me, there may be a few too many stickers on the glass, but it's not my bus, and I still think it looks really cool. Put this one in that big pile of cars at the show I'd be tickled to death to own. Hell, I'd be beside myself just to drive them. Did any of you owners hear that? I would love to drive one of your cars. Not to be outdone, this Beetle came to play with, yep, a Safari Windshield. No, that's not all. It's also sporting a slick ragtop and really tasteful custom interior. Check out those rear pop-out windows and some of the nicest chrome accents around. They also went with that lovely two-tone paint scheme which I love so much. And the steering wheel? Forget about it. I also really like the exact orientation of the broad V-shape cut into the door panels, which coincide nicely with the seats. What a view. Those tiny taillights, the perfectly painted deck lid sticking out with the ragtop resting on the roof. Don't miss that color-coordinated doghouse shroud and engine tins.
Who's singing it? Volkswagen keychain. Tell you gotta come up to the booth and tell me. Don't scream it at me.
This thing looks as cool standing still as it would cruising down the street. Even the pop-out hardware is beautiful. Then you get the parcel tray, super clean dash, and wire basket on the tranny tunnel to complete the whole thing. When was the last time you saw something this cute? Gotta start them young.
Coming your way.
This guy saw your Bug with a Safari Windshield, and he raises you a hinged rear glass. If nothing else, this could be an easier way to get stuff in and out of the storage behind the rear seat.
In here?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'll have to make sure I get that. So these older Bugs, see how the fuel tank has kind of like a hump in the front there? They stopped doing that at a certain point, so that's kind of another neat, visual aspect to them. And I don't know whether these rear views were, a factory thing or not, but they're especially cool to me. Co-pilot, backseat driver, and this great horn button.
Taking off into the VW parade. That's some amazing VWs here today. That's what it's all about. This is like a reunion tour right here.
30th year, man.
Heck yeah, David's getting his shirt. Got the 30 year. Heck yeah. Something he's always wanted to do. There's one of my faves over there. Lining out. I love that red visor. Man, over there got the little ladder action going. There's some really cool cars, even if you're not into VWs. There's something for everybody here.
Which we don't judge. If
Heck
you're not into
yeah.
VWs, we'll still be your friend.
Oh yeah. I'm slowly getting the bug, pun intended. Scooting past the vendors on our way out. Looks like they got some cool stuff for sale. If you're into VWs, this has got to be a great show. I mean, I've never been to a VW show, but it seems like there's a ton of stuff available. You can buy a whole Bug. Look at that. Heck yeah. On the parade route. Just got a lot of VW fans out today. We're winding through Eureka Springs. Fans of all ages.
All ages.
Smile, you're on TV. hard turn here. Got the trolley waiting on us. Got the train horn VW going down a little windy mountain pass here. Eureka Springs, Arkansas. This is what surrounds it right here. It's the back end of a grand old manor. Nice rock walls. I once heard if you want to leave Eureka Springs with a small fortune, you come here with a big one. It just costs a lot to live here and build here. Look at that down there. Just got a line of VWs of all kinds. We've got our custom-made window holders here. David's got his custom-made anti-rattle device. Look at that. No more rattle.
Yeah.
All right. People along the route. Fans of all ages. Got people getting their picture. Heck yeah. Got some nice cabins here. Probably all for rent at some point. I don't know if anybody actually lives in Eureka Springs. It's a cool shot right here. You got the switchback. You can see up there coming into the actual marketplace of Eureka Springs. Still got plenty of fans along the parade route. VWs parked along, motorcycles, people throwing candy. Just a good day to be a VW owner. David's got his horn working. Dual horn setup with relay.
High and low tone.
High and low tone, he says. Woohoo! This is the start of the shopping district here, right downtown, Eureka Springs, Arkansas. So this is the 30th year of the VW show, is that what it's called?
Yeah, it's just, the Eureka Springs VW show, I think.
I thought it was like VW Meisters or something.
Man, I'll have to look. They might have something more official.
This is the main drag right here. Coming in right into downtown. Check it out, all these happy people. Heck yeah. Throwing candy, having a good time. What I'm talking about. Check it out behind us. Still kind of in the heart of Eureka Springs here, shopping district. Hey folks. Down the hill, past the Basin Park. Really good place to eat up above there. Have some fine meat. Loving it. People up in the balcony having a great time. Got the flat iron. Good turnout today. Nice hot day. Good. Little Basin Spring amphitheater here. Well, we're wrapping up the parade route mostly. Got the kids over here and playing in the fountain. Welcome to Eureka Springs Fountain. Little glory flying right there. What a sight. Got the VWs lined up along the road, heading back to their parking spots. I have to say, really cool experience. Alright, man. Kids playing, candy on the ground. What could be better? Old cars and candy. Pulling back into the showgrounds, past the vendors, and yeah, it's been a good day, man. This is cool. Camper there. Carmagias.
Got that guy.
Oh yeah. Got the sand rails and the buggies, got the Manxes. Got a little bit of it all, man. Super Beetles.
That thing there is sick, man. He is going model into that thing.
Oval window. Convertible. And look at this. Coming into the showground. Just a lot of good looking examples. Car love going on. Zoom out just a little bit so I can capture more of the drama. Look at that, fully loaded with luggage on that oval. That's so freaking cool. Right here.